Welcome to the Liberty Collaborative, where the past meets the present in the fight for freedom. We uncover the roots of liberty, spotlight the people who shaped it, and explore what it takes to preserve it today. If you're ready to think deeper, stand stronger, and act with purpose, you're in the right place. Let's reclaim what matters most.
And good morning, everybody. You are listening to the Liberty Collaborative Podcast. My name is Aaron Bowman, and I am here with Chris Coyle, Mike Hancock, and K. Carl Smith. Welcome to another Thursday episode here where we kind of come in hot and furious, and we're in and out in about 30 minutes. So this morning, I'd like to open the floor up. What's going on with everybody? How are y'all?
Doing good. Well, from Colorado, let me give you my angle. Colorado, as usual, is going absolutely crazy. The progressives are the progressives were setting fire on their entire place. So they're chasing businesses out of Colorado. They're putting in place legislation that promotes crime, if you will, just sort of nuts. So we're right in the middle of the battle of trying to fend all of that off.
Man.
Well, on my end, I'm just doing a lot of traveling here, and I wrote the second edition to my book, which is really interesting, but just changing hearts and minds and bringing political healing to a lot of families. And so that's the most pleasing thing, that we can do that.
Beautiful.
That is cool. You know, speaking of books, Aaron, you and I were at the state GOP convention Friday and Saturday, and I had K. Carl's one of his first books on telling conservatives the truth. And of course, your latest book, which it was a hit, so much of a hit that a bunch of the copies walked off by themselves. And so I donated a few books. People, as you know, bought online. But what a topical, perfect timing, K. Carl, to contrast the philosophy of communism, which is now absolutely, they're calling it something else, but it's communism. And the freedom principles that Frederick Douglass historically espoused and really planted in the minds and hearts of liberty-loving Americans. So, Aaron, that was a fun convention. I learned a lot and observed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chris, I will agree. That was that was my first state convention. It was pretty interesting. I didn't know I was going to be on stage the whole entire time tallying votes, but hey, it was, I got a lot of text messages. You need to smile. And I'm like focused on my screen. Like,
so guys, there'd be a candidate in the center of the videos, big, gigantic hall at Mohegan Sun. And there's Aaron in the background with his patch like this. So everyone's texting him. He looked like a bodyguard. Loosen up. And I'm running food up to him. He was trapped there for 2 days.
Yeah,
Wow.
It was very interesting. And on another note, here in town, we're still dealing with the disappearance of our town manager. I requested that the Republicans on the town council call a special meeting. So based on our charter and rules, they need 3 signatures. I sent that email out Wednesday morning. Then surprisingly enough, all of a sudden there was a special meeting, but it wasn't done by the Republicans, I don't think. So regardless, I'm just glad that it's happening. It should have happened weeks ago to discuss what they're doing with the town manager. So interesting how local government works.
Well, what's amazing, you guys, about this week's subject, and everyone watching this show knows that our brand stands for more content, more than you read in the popular media, more context of and why it matters, right? The historical perspective. And we all talk about the fact that this ongoing division, it's getting worse than ever. And K. Carl, you said this is what the slave masters did it throughout history. It's what tyrants do to divide people by gender, race, religion. And it's full speed here and metastasized, if not accelerated by digital media.
Yeah, that's all Marxism, because Marx always talked about a eternal conflict. You're always going to have a conflict. Always have a conflict. There's no redemption. It's always a conflict, and that's what brings about a revolution. That's the whole agenda of what the left does, and Marx wrote about that extensively.
Okay, Carl, I'm laughing because for those listening who understand the history of who Karl Marx was, this is a guy who grew up in coffee shops, mom and dad, elite professionals, never had a real job.
Poster boy for white privilege.
Yeah, there you go, poster boy. And K. Carl, he'd literally go around searching for confrontation. And
Yeah.
everyone's looking at him going, remember, he's in Germany and they threw him out of Germany. He had to leave to go to the UK because he kept trying to get riots going. And how did he get riots going? He said, you are the poor people and the bourgeois, they're taken from me. Come on, let's get it on. And everyone's looking at him going, who the hell are you? Like, what, are you going to lead us?
Yeah, he came from a bourgeoisie comfort family.
Right.
Figure that out, right?
Well, which is classic, because now you have these rich, isn't this interesting? The people saying how they're for the people are the liberal elite, many of whom became elite, one percenters by being in politics. President Trump is one of the few who came into politics with wealth, doesn't take a salary, and all these other guys, look at AOC. They go in with supposedly a bartender salary, and now she's worth millions.
Yeah.
Or the favorite lady, Aaron, from Minnesota, who said she was worth millions and then said, we made an accounting error, and it was suddenly worth $30,000.
That's the one that married her brother, right?
Yes.
Completely normal. So,
well, what are tools of tyrants? What are we talking about here?
So for me, Chris, I'm thinking, I have a couple notes here written down, like fear, division, propaganda, dependency. That's kind of what comes to mind when I think about some of those tools that they use. I don't know. I'm seeing some head nods, so maybe I'm going down the right path here.
Yeah. Well, if we look at Saul Alinsky, my favorite is his rule number 5, ridicule. Call people by names, isolate them, right? Make them ashamed to
Aaron, sound familiar? Mr. Conehead? Silver Conehead?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is so true. When Aaron ran for office for a House of Representatives, the Democratic attack machine found a birthday party picture of Aaron on social media wearing a silver cone head, right? Took it totally out of context. They found this other fella who liked to go around in parades in a long leather jacket and a jester hat, and they put them together and mocked them on social media, portraying them like this is who they are. That was their tactic to knock Aaron down.
Yeah.
Right. And to put this in perspective, it wasn't a birthday party, Chris. We were actually going to Connecticut. So it was a Comic-Con type thing here in Connecticut. And so one day I went as a dad on vacation. So I had Crocs and socks. And then the next day I went as a conspiracy theorist. So it said my shirt said, I'm a conspiracy theorist. My pronouns are I told you so. So I had a little tinfoil hat on. People thought it was hysterical, but they took this out and they're like, look, he's crazy. He's a carpetbagger. It's the Mansfield Pirate.
They spin that and try to make it your reality, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
I think of
K. Carl, you're an author, published author, and Michael, so are you. I'm aspiring to be, but I'm too busy and too dumb to get it done. But what is it about words that the left has now accomplished a feat where they literally can lie in plain sight, say things that are plainly untrue, label everything the opposite of what they're really doing? So, Aaron, in our state, affordable housing. What? You're increasing regulation, increasing cost. You created the problem. But guys, what is your opinion of the tools of tyrants? Starts with labeling things as if you're doing someone a favor, or just lying, and the media just carries it.
That's it, lying. That's what they do.
I think that's one of the main tools of oppression, of oppressors. And this is right down my alley because many of you know I wrote the second edition to my book. And in writing the second edition to my book, I added
book title again?
Douglas versus Marx. And change the website. It's not FDR store. It's kcarl.company.site. Okay. I try to narrow that down a little bit. So get rid of the FDR stores. kcarl.com.site. So my point was, so in my book, one of the things I did, I came up with another debate. I called it debate number 0. I still have 1 to 31, but debate number 0 is, this is the foundation to why Douglas and Marx did not get along. And I'm just going to read one paragraph to you that's inside that debate number 0. That's the debate there. It's entitled the first move of every oppressor. And so this comes out of the dialogue that sets it up. Before you can understand why Douglas and Karl Marx disagreed about rights, property, the family, free speech, or the role of government, you need to understand this. Every system of oppression in history has made the same first move. Before it takes your freedom, it takes your God. Before it takes your body, it breaks your understanding of who made you and what's your worth. The slaveholder did it. Marxist states does it. And Frederick Douglass is the only man in American history who survived it from the inside. So he's the one man who can explain exactly how it works and why it always fails. And in Douglass's speech, The Nature of Slavery, Douglass broke it down. And what he said in that speech was, quote, the first aim of slavery is to separate a man from his God. That's the first aim of Marxism. And let me close by saying this. So once you understand that where our rights come from, that's the foundation. And once you understand where our rights come from, it's easy then to understand why all the other rights make sense. But if you don't understand where our rights come from, or you think it come from the government or some congressman, then you set yourself up for oppression.
Yeah.
So that first question about where our rights come from, where Douglas and Marx differed, that's why Douglas crushed Marx in every debate, not because we diminished what Marx had to say, not because we rigged the debates that way, because Douglas was right, period.
Absolutely.
That's pretty powerful. I got to finish reading that book. I got to get a second copy of the
second copy, because that second copy, I'm telling you what, that's the main thing we did. We added that and really focused on that fundamental question in terms, where do our rights come from? And I speak in high schools all the time, and when I finish speaking, I always ask that question, where do our rights come from? And they all get it wrong.
Yeah.
It's
They all get it wrong.
amazing. You know, everyone listening, they're sort of saying, okay, philosophy and action plan. They're related, but they're two different things. And Aaron, you and I, because of K. Carl and Michael, were asked a lot of times, they go, how do you communicate with unaffiliated voters, those who have a pre-existing image when you use the word conservative or Republican? They go, oh. And when we say we are different Republicans, we are Frederick Douglass Republicans, we are Lincoln Douglas believers. We're not believers, like George Washington said, in divisive politics, and we share values. And we say to people, guys, and everyone listening, it's so simple. If you say to someone, look, would you agree with this proposition where one right ends, another right begins? You have a right, I have a right. But the reality of government society is there are times when these rights collide. This doesn't make your right wrong or my right right, or your right overcomes my right. It means civil dialogue to discuss legitimate policy differences on the roles of rights, the balancing of rights. And this happens all the time. You have the right to drive on highways, only not 100 miles an hour or with your lights off, right? You have the right to speech, but you don't have the right to yell fire in a movie theater or to insult someone by saying things that sound like facts that are libelous or damaging to the person's reputation. So I think everyone out there has to realize this show, we're trying to make you understand the tools of tyrants is to divide you, discourage you, demean your right to speak up. And we're seeing in our little town, K. Carl, you see it all over the country, Michael in Colorado right now, where they literally want to they want to tell everyone, hey, Michael, his point of view isn't legitimate because he's what? Republican? Believes in our rights? Whatever reason, they want to diminish you first and shut you up.
Yeah, he's a racist. All those projection, in my life experience, the worst racists I have ever experienced in my life are white liberals. The worst.
Yeah.
Because I think they're ordained by God to take care of me. I want to say this too, and this is very, as I studied Karl Marx and I studied Douglas, something really jumped out. The slave master, he ignored God, and he came up with fake gods to tell slaves that You know, it's holy to serve your master. All these type of narratives that they drove. Okay, so they just ignored the real God and came with these fake gods. Marxism eliminates God. Okay, I mean they drive towards the same end, but Marxism they want to eliminate God totally, where there's nothing above them that you see, and the only thing you see is government, and that's your God.
Yeah.
So both of them serve the same end. One was ignores God, one to eliminate God. Both are evil,
So
and Marxism just try to take it further.
Oh yeah. One of the things that I've noticed in my study, K. Carl, is that that elimination of God occurs through certainly atheism. That's what that's all about. There's no God. But then if you take a look at the progressive seminaries, right, where supposedly Christian seminaries, where you go and what you're actually taught there is something quite the opposite of what the Bible tells us, right? The Bible tells us that, and Jesus said, you know, believe in me, repent from your sin, accept me as Lord and Savior, and walk a path of righteousness, right? And be a person that shines the light on the wrong and the evils of the world. Well, what the Marxists do is they infiltrated the church, right? And actually has turned many churches, those that have labeled themselves Christian churches, into things that aren't Christian. So it's almost it's very destructive.
So Frederick Douglass wrote about this. Frederick Douglass said, I'm paraphrasing. He said you got to wash the relationship between religion and law,
Yeah.
because religion will come up with some idea, the law will come in and try to make it legal. And why is it that in every divinity school that I researched, they always have a law school and a divinity school?
Mm.
And Douglas wrote about this exact thing, man. Before we even knew it was a problem, Douglas said, watch out for the relationship between religion and law.
Yeah.
Machiavelli wrote about it way back in Italy with the Catholic Church. And being raised a Catholic, when I see this Pope jumping into politics and firing up all these Catholics on stuff, I'm just amazed that here we go again. And we have this idea of separation church and state. What people have to understand is that did not mean separating God and the concept of a higher power and societal norms based around norms of Christianity, norms of righteousness. It just means the formalized religion, practice of religion, can't influence the exercise of state power, right? And people have to understand that. And guys, it gets me, K. Carl, I think coming back to something, Aaron, maybe you could start this. What K. Carl writes about so well is there's always in this toolkit today the oppressor and the victim. And what Frederick Douglass did when he heard Mr. Auld scolding Mrs. Auld that you can't let Frederick learn how to read, because once they understand what's going on, they will be free. Yeah. So what we're saying to all you listeners, no offense, you can read, but you're not reading.
Yep.
Once you understand what they're doing is they're trying to make you become a victim. So you will say, I am owed something. And if you're a victim, somebody is making you a victim. Usually it's not you, by the way. They're there to protect you. It's an oppressor. And so if you have oppressors and victims, and then you start dividing the groups, which the left is really good at. So I'm gay, I'm this, and I'm this. That's my group. And your group is stepping on my group. This fragments and fractionalizes and makes someone out there the oppressor. Guys, talk about that, because that's the tool to divide people, is your victim and your oppressor. And vote for me because I'm going to go after the oppressors.
Chris, it almost makes me think of the word a scapegoat, right? Scapegoating. So they're saying, hey, look at this religious group, or let's look at this group and let's band together and get angry at that group. You're right. It's very interesting, the tools that they utilize. And for some reason, a scapegoating just came popping into my head. And that's almost what it feels like. Like you have a group, whether it's religious based, sexual based, whatever you want it to be. And then it's that group. Oh, we're against them, they're the bad ones. Let's all get together and use that disinformation or that dismantling of your opponent, I guess.
And Michael, top elected officials, as high as you can get, right? Jeffries saying that the Supreme Court, because he disagrees with the way they interpret the Constitution, the majority of them, calling them illegitimate, calling them oppressors of the people, the Jim Crow, 2.0, because he disagrees with a branch of government's reading of the Constitution.
Yeah.
So what do? You vilify and you create victims.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way they operate. If you don't agree with them, then you become the enemy. And then we have to label you to totally destroy anybody's willingness to associate with you. So Chris, you're a racist. So, gee, I can't be in the same room with you. Oh, how can you platform Chris? Because Chris, I've labeled Chris a racist. But if you ever ask the question, well, what makes Chris a racist? Silence, right? Because
right.
Yeah. What makes them
in our little town, guys, I have been called everything from our group Threat to Democracy. You've heard that one.
Yep.
To Fringe, to MAGA people. Let's just take that for a sec. Notwithstanding that it's attached to Donald Trump, what's wrong with Make America Great Again? Do you want it not great? So the labeling of the people is insidious because you're right. I call it radioactive. It's like, I can't associate with you, and it breaks down communication.
It's that division. It's one of the tools. That division is a tool that they utilize as tyrants, as we're calling them, to really pit people against each other. And if you're divided, you can't be unified, because if you're unified, it's harder to stop that movement, right? So let's divide everybody. Let's keep everybody arguing, and then we'll go over here and do whatever we want.
Yeah, and the people that do that, they're relentless. Right? They're relentless. They're very highly organized. I believe they're financed, right? And there are people that are actually paid to show up at places and just make everyone there.
Carl's got a friend who drove around a big car. He said, "I'm paid to go sow division around Alabama."
Right, a guy I grew up with in Huntsville. He lives here in Birmingham. He's like the Alabama's Al Sharpton. Okay, and my brother had lunch with him one day and catching up on things because I hadn't seen him in years. And he said, "Quote: I get paid by George Soros to play the race card."
Yeah,
wow. He drives around in a Bentley.
We got one that drives around in the Bentley here too. Maybe that's recognize him.
But all we're talking about again, these are the things that Karl Marx wrote about and Douglas challenged in our debate, of course, because Marx said we got to have the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. You got to have the workers and the owners, and there always is conflict. Yeah. And then here comes CRT, critical race theory. They keep the same category, just give it a different name. Instead of bourgeoisie and proletariat, you have the oppressor and the oppressed.
Yeah.
And they're always conflicting. Why? They want to have a revolution. They don't want us to come together and see what we have in common.
Yeah.
And that's why when you read Douglas versus Marx in these 31 debates, Douglas tears Marx apart because Marx's philosophy is really weak.
Yeah.
And Marx was a Satanist. He wasn't an atheist. Karl Marx was a Satanist.
Taught himself from literally the dirt floor up. And here's Karl Marx from white privilege. Guys, there is hope. And in our little state, just so people understand, California, Washington, Illinois, New York, Connecticut is one of the leaders in the country. We're the third highest property tax, fourth highest cost of living, and soon to be the number one cost of electricity, all of one-party liberal rule in Hartford. And so we're really in this enclave, but there's hope. And let me give an example. We have this wonderful guy who is nominated now as a Republican candidate for Congress in the 2nd District against Joe Courtney. Now, Joe Courtney looks like a nice old professor. You don't see him for 4 years. And then he comes out and all he does is have photo ops around the submarine plant. Like, I am Mr. Submarine, as if the federal government will shut down the submarine construction if Joe Courtney isn't here. He votes completely with the left the whole time. Well, who is this guy? His name is George Austin, first generation Mexican immigrant. And we said, George, you are the American dream. You came here. Your parents came here. You worked hard, family, faith. Guy is a hard worker. Now, he showed up at first in baggy shorts, shiny. I don't know where he got those shiny sneakers, Aaron, but long ponytail, beard, stuttered a lot, but passionate. Today, he gave the best speech last Friday, accepting the nomination. And what we love about it, his nickname is I'm a lunchbox guy. I see the people getting up at 5:30. I see the families. And what's so wonderful, you guys, is we contrast George Austin, a hardworking, grassroots Republican. This is the Republican Party, i.e., of principles, of people, contrasted with this white privileged lawyer who acts like a nice professor, but votes for all this stuff that has done over the years. So, Aaron, right here in Little Connecticut, George to me is a ray of hope because he's the epitome of what we stand for: hard work, family, faith, and someone who wants to fight for the little people. So,
absolutely, Chris.
And
his website's down below if you folks are watching. If you're listening on Apple, iTunes, wherever you listen and consume your favorite podcast, it's votegeorgeforcongress.com, all one word, and go see what he's all about, especially if you're living in Connecticut.
And we joke, guys. Remember this guy, Fetterman? Everyone goes, how could this guy had a stroke and he's going against Dr. Oz? I don't know how many billions Dr. Oz seems like a very smart guy. He's in the administration now, seems like a competent man.
Yep.
But my point is, it just shows you the power. People want people to listen to them. And no matter how much he spent, or in the case of Miss Word Salad, Kamala Harris, if the people sense you're not listening to them, and now Fetterman, I'm sure the Democrats can't stand him down there because he's always, but it's being legitimate and talking to the people and listening to them,
Yeah.
Hey, Chris and guys, real quick, we're coming up on about close to 30 minutes. We've got just around 20 people watching. So, hey, and here's somebody we met at the convention. How are you? Thank you for watching. So we ran into her while she was doing her podcast live streaming.
Polish Agnes, she's fantastic.
Very good. And so thanks for tuning in. We also got just over 21 people here watching live. So if you have a question, I'm monitoring X. I don't know if X comments will come up here, but if you have a question, let us know before we close out today on what we're talking about, or any topic, matter of fact. That'd be great. When it looks like we lost K. Carl, so when he comes back, I'll bring him back up here.
They dropped a load of new books. Got to go get him off the porch.
Oh, there he is.
Hey, Carl, we were joking that you were going getting a carton of new books. Oh, you're on mute.
They actually sit on the crate in the front yard. Got to bring them in the house before it starts raining.
So, Aaron, as you do the closing round, I'll start and throw it to you guys. But I would say this to everybody. The more I have learned to be in politics, which I hate, I don't like, but I love, never will get tired of being criticized by the left who personally attack me. Because what I explain to everyone is everyone else is watching. And if they have to play personality politics and can't talk about principles and facts, public's watching. And that, when people said, why do you think Trump won back in 20? I said, you know what won? Truth. They might not like what he says all the time, but he's telling the truth. 2, authenticity. He is who he is, right? And then 3, someone who will defend our structure of government. But you got to remember that people go in and say, I'm going to do this for you. Generally, the people that we like want to defend our system of laws, of rights. And to me, that's easy to defend because everybody has them. Values unite, issues divide.
Absolutely. And again, Chris, I would agree with you. Here in Colorado, as you know, my wife's on the city council, and on a bi-weekly basis, as they have those city council meetings, you see these group of leftists, right, from the Democratic Socialist Association show up, sometimes in small numbers, sometimes in very large numbers, from all over the state, right? And they're very loud. They're very threatening to people. And basically, they've chased normal, sane people away from those meetings. So what I would do is encourage people to don't be intimidated by these people. They want you to check out. They want you to not participate. And by not doing that, you cede territory to them, and ultimately they will win. But I have hope, as you just said, that more of us are awakening, more of us are starting to dig in and learn, reading K. Carl's book, reading my books, reading about what the heck this country was meant to be. The Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Federalist Papers. Dig in and understand who we were made to be, and let's all go out and stand up and start being those people.
Because when they stand up for their rights, Michael, they're standing up for my rights and your rights.
Yeah.
You got to join us to stand up for your rights, because we share them all.
Karl Marx wrote about rights, where the rights come from. He wrote about private property. He wrote about education, that the government should take over education and get parents out of the way. He wrote about the religion. He called religion the opium of the masses, and try to get rid of religion. But guess who else wrote about those same very topics? Frederick Douglass. So in the book, Douglass versus Marx, it's not my commentary on making up stuff, what Douglass is saying, what Marx is saying. Thank God we have a literary legacy of the writings of Frederick Douglass to refute Karl Marx's the narrative. So what we did was we put them in the same room, because they never met. They're born the same year. They never met. We put them in the same room and introduced them to each other, and they start talking. And so we have source documents. So what they're saying in the dialogues is not what I'm saying. It's not rigged. It's what Marx wrote, what Marx said, what Douglas wrote, what Doug said about those subjects. So this is not a history book. It's a technical manual to defeat Marxism and preserve liberty.
Absolutely. Well put, Chris. K. Carl, rather. I'm looking at Chris on the screen. So for me, today, I just want to let everybody know I had about 15 different tools that I think the Tyrants use, and I put that into a blog post. I have not put anything on Substack for our group in a while, so I got to figure out how to log back in there, but I'm going to put that up there for the listeners. If you want to go and read that, follow us there. You can also listen to us on any of your modern podcasting apps, Apple, or iTunes, Stitcher. We're everywhere. If you want to go into your kitchen and tell Alexa to play Liberty Collaborative Podcast, it'll play the latest episode, and then you can also hear all the other episodes that we have done. I just appreciate everybody that's been tuning in today. I just want to make sure there's no more comments. Nope, we're good on the comments, but I think this is a record for us. We had 26 people watching live, and then we get a bunch of views on the shorts afterwards. So it's great. Thank you for everybody taking the time out of your morning to tune in and listen to what we're talking about today and our favorite tools of Tyrants. And I think once you start recognizing these tools, you understand everything that K. Carl said, Mike and Chris, in standing up for your rights, knowing where your rights come from, that they come from the great architect or from God, however you want to look at it, and not from government. Once you have that basic understanding and you read the Federalist Papers, anti-Federalist papers, then you can start standing up for those rights and understanding.
Aaron, just like Frederick Douglass did, he refused to be a victim. He became educated, and he said, I will no longer be a victim. And what he realized, right, K. Carl, ultimately, is his slavery was the entrapment of his mind and this idea that I could not break out. And yes, was there a threat of physical violence, death? There was. But the first thing they trap is your brain, your desire, your willingness to push back. Do not be the victim.
Very good point. Douglas said before he escaped from slavery physically, he had to be free mentally.
Yeah, right.
Think about wanting to be free.
Yep.
There you go.
That's where it starts.
I'm going to close with this comment. If you don't know the truth, you will never recognize a lie. Get K. Carl's book.
Good show, guys. Thank you.
I'll put that up one more time for you, K. Carl. There you go. There's the kcarl.company.site. If you're interested in the books, they do come autographed, I believe. And remember, wait, where is it?
Stay woke.
All right. We'll see y'all next Thursday.
What does that sound like, Mike? Is that you, Mike?
See you guys. Thank you.
All right, out of you guys.
All right, take care.
Thanks for joining us on the Liberty Collaborative. If today's episode lit a fire or gave you clarity, share it and be part of the movement. Subscribe, leave a